Okay, so have you ever been working away at something,
Hmm.
whether it's your career or just some personal project,
Yeah.
and you just kind of stop and think, hold on, is all this education actually making a difference?
Oh, yeah,
I think we've all been there at some point,
definitely.
and that's exactly what we're diving into today with this amazing dialogue we
I
found.
love this dialogue.
Yeah.
It's like it unfolds just like a learning journey would,
Oh, interesting.
where one speaker is kind of in that place of questioning the value of education,
Mm-hmm.
and the other is, you know, more gently guiding them to this broader perspective. It's
Yeah.
like we're right there witnessing an aha moment.
I love that. Okay, so to set the scene, we have Mandefro, and he's expressing something we hear all the time.
Right.
He sees that cycle, school, then you get your degree, then you get a job, and
Mhm.
he wonders if it's all just a little bit of a treadmill.
Yeah, and Ficker really offers a crucial insight there.
Okay.
Acknowledging that, yeah, the system can feel like a degree factory sometimes.
Yeah.
But Ficker's arguing that education's value is it's so much bigger than just employability.
Okay.
It's about developing these essential skills you can use throughout your life, like,
Mm.
critical thinking, adaptability, and problem solving.
So it's like learning how to fish versus just being given a fish.
Exactly.
Those skills, they become part of your toolkit no matter where life takes you.
Yeah, and it's so interesting how Mandefro brings up this idea that you can learn things like critical thinking through experience, too,
Yeah, of course.
which is true.
Right.
But then Ficker makes this really interesting point that formal education, it gives you this structure for learning that experience alone might not provide.
It's like having a map and compass when you're exploring a new place
Yes,
versus just kind of wandering around and hoping for the best.
exactly.
Mm.
And formal education, it exposes you to this incredible breadth and depth of knowledge
Yeah.
from different fields, and it's curated and guided by experts.
All right.
It's like this crash course in how to think critically about the world.
So it's not just about what you learn, it's about how you learn to think.
Exactly.
Hmm.
And that foundation you gain through education, it becomes a launch pad for continuous learning throughout your life.
Okay.
And this is where I think it gets really interesting.
Yeah.
Ficker goes on to highlight how education, it has this ripple effect
Okay.
that goes way beyond just the individual.
Wow.
It has this huge societal value.
So we're talking about education's impact on the world around us.
Absolutely. Ficker talks about how an educated populace, it drives innovation,
Mm-hmm.
strengthens economies, and even leads to healthier communities.
Wow.
Like, for example, they point out that so many scientific advancements, like the medical breakthroughs that we benefit from today,
Right.
are a direct result of education and research.
It really does make you appreciate those connections.
Yeah.
Like, education doesn't exist in isolation. It ripples outwards, impacting the world in these incredible ways.
Absolutely. And this dialogue, it makes us think about those less obvious ways that education shapes our world.
Okay, this is already making me rethink my own assumptions about education.
Yeah.
But before we get too far down that path, let's shift gears a bit
Okay.
and explore a different angle from the dialogue.
Yeah, let's do it. I think you'll find this next part really interesting.
So in this next part, Mandefro brings up something I think a lot of us have probably wondered about at some point. He's like, we see all these people achieving amazing things
Right.
without a formal degree, like entrepreneurs and artists and innovators who've made their mark without following that traditional path.
It's a good point. And Ficker really addresses that head on.
Oh, okay.
Like, they acknowledge that, yeah, formal education is not like the be-all and end-all.
Right.
But they make this distinction between, it's not about the piece of paper, the degree itself.
Right.
It's more about the skills and the mindset that you develop along the way.
So it's less about the destination and more about the journey.
Exactly. It's about developing that critical thinking, being able to adapt to new situations and just never stop learning.
Right.
And those skills are even more important now with how fast things are changing.
Especially now, right?
Yeah.
Like, we're hit with new information every single day.
Right.
Technology's changing so fast.
Constantly.
It can feel impossible to keep up.
Exactly. And that's where, Ficker emphasizing continuous learning is so important.
Yeah.
Whether it's formal education or, pursuing your passions or even just being curious and seeking out new info on your own.
Yeah.
That commitment to learning is what helps us make sense of it all.
It's like developing that growth mindset.
Yes.
It's not about having all the answers.
Right.
It's about being open to learning, adapting, and evolving.
And I think what's really relevant for us is what Ficker says about how important that adaptability is.
Okay.
Especially in today's world,
Mm-hmm.
where everything's so globalized.
Right.
Information's always being updated and reshaped. You have to be able to learn, unlearn, and relearn.
It's true.
That's what keeps you engaged and relevant.
Yeah, it's like they say the only constant is change.
Exactly.
And education, it helps us not just deal with change,
Right.
but actually thrive in it.
And remember how we were talking about education's wider impact on society?
Mm-hmm.
Well, Ficker takes it even further
Okay.
and suggests that someone who's educated
Yeah.
is more likely to be really active in their community,
Oh, wow. That's interesting.
more likely to advocate for positive change,
Okay.
to be aware of social issues, and to actually use their knowledge and skills to make a difference.
It's like that saying knowledge is power, but it's not just about personal power.
Right.
It's about using that knowledge to empower others
Exactly.
and contribute to something bigger than yourself.
And that's where we really start to see the true value of education.
It becomes about so much more than just getting a job or climbing some ladder.
It's about personal growth,
Yeah.
contributing to the world around us,
Right.
and ultimately shaping a better future.
And as Ficker points out, the impact of education, it might not always be obvious right away.
Yeah, sometimes it's subtle.
Right.
Sometimes it takes a while to see.
Mm-hmm.
But when you step back and look at the bigger picture,
Yeah.
its value is undeniable.
It's like planting a seed.
Mm.
You nurture it, you give it time, and eventually it blossoms into something incredible.
I love that.
So we've covered a lot of ground here.
Yeah.
The benefits of education for us personally, its impact on society, the importance of lifelong learning.
It's a lot.
But before we wrap up, I'm curious to hear your big takeaway from this dialogue.
Okay.
What really resonated with you? It really is like planting a seed.
Mm.
You know, it's not about that instant gratification.
Yeah.
It's about laying the groundwork for something much bigger
Right.
that's going to keep growing over
I
time.
love that analogy.
But yeah, you know what really struck me
Yeah.
was how this dialogue, it kind of reframed my whole thinking about education. Like, it's not just about learning a bunch of facts. It's
Yeah.
about developing a whole different way of looking at the world.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Like, Ficker's perspective, it highlights how education at its core
Mm-hmm.
is about being curious, about thinking critically,
Absolutely.
about always wanting to learn and grow.
And those are things that go way beyond, just a classroom.
Totally.
It's about how you approach everything in life.
And that's what makes investing in education so powerful.
It really is.
Whether you're going for a degree or diving into your passions
Yeah.
or even just staying open to learning new things.
It's an investment in yourself
Mm.
and in a better future for everyone.
Because like we were saying before, the effects of education, they ripple outward.
Did you?
They impact our lives, our communities, even the world.
That's right. And I think that's something really important for our listeners to remember,
Yeah.
that, this pursuit of knowledge, this desire to understand,
Mm.
it's something to be valued, something to fight for.
It reminds me of that saying, education is the cornerstone of a thriving society.
Oh, absolutely.
But this dialogue, it's made it so much more personal for me.
In what way?
Like, it's not just some abstract idea anymore.
Yeah.
It's about each of us realizing we have this power
Mhm.
to learn and grow, and in doing that, we can make the world a better place.
I love that takeaway.
This deep dive, honestly, it's been amazing.
I've really enjoyed it.
It's a good reminder that education isn't about checking boxes.
Right?
It's a lifelong journey of learning, growing, and contributing.
Well said. And as we navigate this increasingly complex world,
Mm-hmm.
those qualities you were talking about,
Yeah,
curiosity, critical thinking, adaptability,
right.
those become our greatest strength.
So, listener, as we wrap up this deep dive,
Yeah.
we'll leave you with this. What are you doing to cultivate your own growth?
I love that question.
Because as we've learned, investing in education, it's not just about you.
It impacts everyone.
It's about creating a brighter future for all of us.